You always ask the questions nobody asks. So
And a lot of it's happening in my own house. Here.
Because it rains so much. Yeah.
That's a good one.
But you're the only person ever who's ever asked me that question. Ever.
Do something fun, have a romance, baby.
Wow, what a presentation.
And I can show you my favorite tattoo.
I'm still laughing about that intro about Jurassic Park and elephants.
She still hasn't got any elephants, so it's a win-win so far.
Those things are always interesting just because I'm so like, scattered.
I find it so funny because we also met before the pandemic. We have a longer history.
Did you really bring that up? That was a private conversation.
I hope people keep thinking that I'm really relaxed while I'm playing and do not realize when I'm playing the difficult parts of the song.
That's a really good question. Again, Mark, yeah, man. Everybody needs to subscribe because Mark here, he asks really good questions. I'll go this way. There he is.
Art needs multiple voices to truly shine.
So that's when I say, okay, you need to really learn how to do it right.
It's bound to come out at one point. So this was what was coming out.
Are you sure you're not interested? I was like, don't ask me again. I can't refuse it twice.
A wrecking machine. I'll take it.
9 to 11 years to become a neo-physician.
Anytime I see a breakdown and then I'm like, that seems different, I'm in.
Be in their presence, so I conduct my life in a way that I hope that they want to be in my presence as well.
Our love is sick as fuck. Sick as fuck. How can you be my remedy and still be the death of me? You're the one that I believe in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington, in the United States of America. And thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday, December 4th of 2021. This crazy year is coming to a close here. And I'm really glad to be back in the live stream world. It's been a couple weeks since I did one, which is kind of out of practice for me. But as many people know, there's been a shift for me personally of live streams and in-person events now, and I recently moved, and so there's been a lot of things going on, but I'm really glad to be back here with all of you. And just as I always do, I have a few housekeeping things to go through coming up. Speaking of live streams, this Tuesday, December 7th at 6 p.m. Pacific, I have Dolby joining me, who is an amazingly talented 15-year-old musician who I couldn't believe that she was 15. So we're going to be talking about her single that's out right now and everything that she's been up to. And then on Wednesday, I will be back in person at my first concert. So I will be dusting off my cameras, my lenses, and all that kind of thing, and shooting Jake Shimabukuro and reviewing his concert, which I'm excited about. And then on Thursday, I'll be back in the live stream world with a really great actress, China Walker, who stars in a film called 7 Short Films About Our Marriage. And I just reviewed that recently, and she's been gracious enough to take some time to come on and talk about that film and talk about her career. So I also have a live stream next Saturday, a week from today. So if you want to know all the details of what I have coming up, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first. And then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could hit that subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. And if you want to know what's coming up specifically, then you can also hit the notification bell. But please be aware that does send emails to your inbox. All right, and Ove, good to see you joining us from Norway. So it's what evening over there on a Saturday, so always good to see you. And so let's get to my guest today. My guest today is an incredible artist. She has a brand new EP, Ready to Burn, coming out in 2022. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Saya.
Hi.
Hi, Saya, how are you?
Good, thank you so much. How are you?
I am doing very well. Yeah, thank you for taking the time today. I'm really looking forward to talking to you and learning more about your craft.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So let's kind of start with the EP that's coming out next year. You already had 2 songs that have been put out. So what, for people that aren't familiar with you, how would you talk about the new music, and we'll kind of go through your history a little bit later in the interview.
Sure. I guess it's like dark pop. That's what people have been saying. So I think that makes a lot of sense actually, because for a while, I didn't really know exactly how to categorize my music because I do kind of genre hop a bit, but I think dark pop is definitely what I make. And the project, there's live instruments on the project, violin and guitar. So it's a little more alternative pop as well, which is exciting to kind of get back to that kind of how I started. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And we showed a real small clip from your music video for Sick. Was that kind of your first I know you had taken a break with your music. Was that kind of the jump start of getting you back into the music scene?
Yeah, so I mean, I had been working on this new project, Ready to Burn, for the past 2-3 years. And I mean, I wasn't really putting out anything, wasn't kind of giving my listeners any clues that I was working on new music. I was just in the studio, minding my business, working, keeping my head down, focused. And then I kind of just came out of the blue and I was like, I have a video, I have a new song, and it kind of like a little surprise. So yeah, it was my re-entry into music, I guess.
Okay, and staying with that single, what's the inspiration for the lyrics behind it?
I mean, I was really inspired by like the movie Scarface and Blow and the dynamics between like the relationships of like the two lead characters, and I guess based on like personal feelings I've had in the past, and kind of just like exaggerating them into more of a story. I was like collecting words and phrases specifically for a while, and when I went to the studio, I hadn't been to the studio in a long time, so I just pulled these ideas out, and I was like, I kind of want to write something about like a chaotic romance, a chaotic love, and be a bit more vulnerable. And it just really happened organically. And I was like, I want to kind of keep exploring this direction. Because when I actually started making music in 2000, well, I mean, I've always made music, but when I started professionally making music, it was quite similar context-wise, what I was writing then.
Okay, interesting. So you're drawing some initial inspiration from relationships you had seen, like you said, in Scarface and in Blow, and taking that to a different level and creating that as like a launching pad for your single. Okay.
I'm like very inspired by film and like narratives, and so I kind of like to make my own little world when I'm making music and kind of make it its own little movie in my head.
Okay, so does that mean that did you have a lot of say in how the music video came out then, since you kind of think visually?
Oh yeah, I mean, we had been talking about that for a long time, and my original ideas for the video were not done, but I really trusted the director, and I actually liked his ideas a lot. His name's Janelle Cruz. He's from Toronto as well, and I trusted him. I mean, I wanted to portray being like submissive and like weakness in my character, and I think he did a really good job at that. And like the lighting and the cinematography played a huge part in that.
Okay, awesome. I love. There's a reason why I put that one clip before we went live. Well, before we started our interview here, that I love that transition from the white outfit to the black, and it's seamless backstage and all that kind of thing.
Thank you.
That was very, very well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I please forgive me. I kind of have a random mind, as people know watching my interviews.
I do as well.
Okay, cool. Things just kind of pop into my head. Where does your sense of style come from? Because you definitely have one. So I'm curious.
You.
Yeah, where did that develop and come from?
I've always liked fashion ever since I was younger, and I've always dressed a bit out of like the ordinary. My mom, she worked full time when I was really young, and my dad was a musician. So my dad took me to school, And my dad would let me dress myself, and I would put like stickers all over my face. And like I would just like have like nothing matched. And my dad let me be really creative when I was younger, and my mom did too. And I think over time it just developed, and I'm very artistically driven, and dressing is like it shows a part of who you are, and kind of I feel it's very connected to identity. I mean, I don't identify with clothing, and I'm not like materialistic in that sense. I just really like fashion and expressing myself through fashion and really all mediums of art.
Okay, I used to work. Well, I guess in some ways I still do as a photographer working with models.
Okay.
So some of them who have fashion design degrees and things of that nature, and totally have been like that since they were 2 years old, and
Yeah.
just had a distinct fascination with style, with fashion.
Exactly. Yeah. Just the way certain clothes they're cut and how they fit on a body. I think it can be very beautiful, and it can also like tell a story in itself. So
Yeah, and that's a really interesting attribute that you have, especially being a musician and an artist, that you can bring your own personal sense in your head to it instead of perhaps having to rely on somebody else. Not that there's something wrong with that.
yeah, totally.
Great collaborations, but you already kind of know what you want.
It makes it easier for me. Easier sometimes, difficult sometimes. I mean, like right now I'm trying to source some looks for a new music video that I'm doing, and it's very specific, and it's a bit hard to find what I'm looking for, but when you find it, it's always fun.
Okay, yeah, and sometimes the adventures in the journey.
Yeah, definitely.
To get there. And so you also released Death of Me off the upcoming EP. And so what can you tell folks about that particular single?
Death of Me was the third song I wrote off the project. I actually wasn't going to release that until the new year, but I did change my mind. I just thought it worked really well after Sick, and kind of, it continues the story directly. It's kind of, it's the same kind of song as Sick. I mean, it's about the same thing. It's a story. They're all leading into each other, all the songs. So, I mean, it's just about, knowing someone's like not good for you, and like that lingering tension after a breakup of still wanting someone even though they've hurt you.
Okay. And again, here goes my random mind. As you're having a fashion sense, having an inspiration from film, obviously being a musician, do you see these mediums coming together? Like, I don't know, maybe you doing like your own short film, or are you doing something that you score, just all those worlds coming together?
Oh yeah. I mean, when I make music and I'm in the headspace of even just like drawing inspiration, I think of it as like a package. And I am actually making a little short film for the project with my best friend. She's a director. Her name's Jean McFalad, and we've worked on several videos together, but I creative direct, and we like, we really work well together. So it's going to have like a monologue, and I'm going to write that. And I'm really excited to kind of do that, because I've always wanted to make a short film. It's still going to be a music video, but it's going to be more short film style.
Okay, yeah, no, that sounds really, really interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
I love talking to artists that don't really think in terms of limits. They just kind of, whatever they want to express from whatever medium, they just kind of do it.
Exactly. And I think, when an idea pops into my head and I'm really passionate about it, I really want to execute it. And, I'll do what I can to make that vision come to life. And I'm so grateful that I have that ability to express myself that way.
Yeah. How would you, for the upcoming project EP that's coming out in 2022, how do you feel it differs from your previous EPs?
I just feel like it's more mature, and I think the past music, I mean, I'm not like insulting it, but I just think it's a bit, it had its like moment in time, and I think I mean, it's where I was in my life at that time. There are songs that I do really still love, but there's also songs that mean nothing to me. And it's weird because I write music and sometimes it's not really like applicable to me at that time. And then later on I'll be like, wait, that's happening to me now. Like, that's so weird. But I just think this project is more vulnerable. And I did say that about Sugar Coated. I thought that was more vulnerable than Chills and Thrills. But as I'm growing and getting older, I have fallen in love with being vulnerable and being my authentic self. And if I can continue that path, then why not, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's true for just anyone in any walk of life that if you can keep finding more and more of your authentic self, so that's what people should get to know.
Yeah, totally.
And that's when people connect and resonate with it, then they're resonating with the real you.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I'm excited for my listeners and new listeners to really take in the project when it comes out and listen to it as a cohesive story.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting that impression that with your work, that it's something, especially with this new project coming out, that it's something where you need to kind of sit down and take it all in order and not just kind of pop things out of it, because then it's like taking a scene from a movie and then not seeing the other scenes and then coming back into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And so if we can kind of take a few minutes to kind of go back to, so what was like young Saya like? What was your life like, many years ago that got you to this point now?
Well, I started making music, I think as soon as I could speak. Like I was always singing in my crib as a baby, well, as a toddler, I guess. And I was always creative and making music of some sort. My dad was a musician, so we had like guitars and pianos laying around the house. And I taught myself how to play guitar. And I started writing as a way to handle being bullied at school. And it was kind of my escape. And I just really knew at a young age that that's all I wanted in life. And I kind of had tunnel vision for it my whole life. And when I was, I think like 12, 13, I started putting my own songs on YouTube. And they were more singer-songwriter, folky country kind of songs. And I did end up I started to make country music after, when I was like 13, 14, 15-ish, I think. All the years blend together. And I did country music up until before I went to university. And it just didn't really feel authentic to me. So I stopped, and I wanted to make indie music. And then I just kept making covers of like The Weeknd and like hip hop covers that I liked and playing them on guitar. And then I just would put them on SoundCloud. And that's how I got like the attention from the right person. And she helped me, go from there to here. So, I mean, it's a lot, but I think I've always like been putting out music in some way.
Okay, it's as I see always saying, art is limitless, and which is very true. And I think especially for musicians, I don't know any musician that doesn't listen to or is inspired by different genres. I mean, it just happens.
Yeah, I mean, good music is good music, and like sound can be used in so many different ways. And I think if you appreciate good music, you should be able to listen to anything, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, at least for myself, that anytime there's something that I can even consider artistic, I'm usually interested to check it out because I want to find out more about it. I want to learn about it.
Yeah.
And doing these interviews like with yourself, that I love the fact that you're in Toronto right now, and I'm learning more about your background and your music and what's coming out, and so are the people that will be watching this now and or down the road. And I don't think that's ever going to stop. I love hearing more about people's creative process, and just sometimes you can take some tips from other people too and add it into my own.
That's awesome.
And also remembering that it's definitely a roller coaster at times. It's ups and downs. It's not just ups.
Yeah, no, it's definitely being like respect to anyone who is chasing their passion, because mentally it's very hard to motivate yourself to do anything that isn't like one easy, well, nothing's easy in life, but one path, go to school, get a degree, get a job. It's, you have to be very committed to it, and it's hard on you mentally. So, respect to anyone who's pursuing their passions.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm curious about when you're, like you mentioned, like a lot of the times you've been writing since you're a young person. How do you write your songs? Do you do co-writes? Do you write everything by yourself? What's kind of the mix of things?
So, I started writing music by myself, and then the person who found me on SoundCloud put me in a writing session with a woman that I work with. I've been working with for 6 years. Her name's Ali Sue. She's Toronto-based. She's a songwriter. She helped develop me, and I just immediately hit it off with her, and we've been co-writing together all these years. And it's really a true collaboration. I come in with my ideas. I say, this is what I want to write about today. I have these lyrics. She takes a look at them. She goes, cool. And then I tell the producer what I want to do. I'll start freestyling melodies. She'll start freestyling melodies. We'll plug in the words that I have, or she'll start bringing in words, and it's really a true collaboration. But I do write my own music. I'm not interested in having people write for me at this time. If there was a really good song that I felt worked for me, then I would do it. But my biggest passion is writing, so it's got to come from me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, especially with what you just said, a few minutes ago about being your authentic self and expressing yourself. So it's like, well, if that happens to fit in with how I am right now, then maybe I'll consider it. But it's really more about what I want to get out to the world.
It's like I need to express what I need to express, and that's why I do it. You know what I mean? So if I was, mainly a performer, I guess it would be different. I would, feel more comfortable taking other people's songs, but it's my art, it's my craft, it's personal. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned that your dad's a musician. So do you play instruments as well?
I do. I play guitar. I used to play violin and piano when I was younger, but I'm not very good. I can play piano, but it's not good. I taught myself, and I just really don't know what I'm doing, but I'll just play things, and if it sounds good, I'll just go along with it. When my parents split up, my dad, he lived in a cabin in the woods for like a year, and there was like a piano, and I would just play it all the time.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think I can relate to that. That I have, like, my guitar is my main instrument, but then there's other ones that I kind of dabble around with, and yeah, piano or keyboards is I don't even know if you could call it dabbling. It's just kind of like me plunking around on
just
stuff.
Messing around. Yeah, that's like me. But guitar, I play. I've been playing guitar since I was like 12, or maybe younger. I don't know. I taught myself. My dad told me 2 chords, and then I was like, I don't like being taught from you, so I'm just gonna teach myself how to play, because I don't take direction too well, I guess.
Well, I took less guitar lessons for a few years, and then at some point, you just have to express yourself.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to continue doing that, because then I'm like becoming almost like a clone of my teacher then.
Right.
So the way I looked at it, so it's like I need to figure out my own path.
Yeah, totally. It's funny you say that, because I went to an art high school, and I didn't do well in any of my music classes, and I actually was asked to leave my guitar class. And it's funny because I performed at one of the open night mics, and she's like, "Why are you so good, but you were so bad in my class?" And I'm like, "Because I can't handle the theory. It's it's not creative to me." And I theory is really hard. I think, I wish I could sit down. I'm not good at studying unless I really want to do it.
Okay, well, and it's different things for different people, and I'm kind of in a similar boat when it comes to music theory. it was like I could study this, but then in my mind, it was really making things really sterile for me. And I
That's
understand.
exactly how I felt.
Yeah, it's like
It wasn't fun.
I'm playing something that sounds pretty cool to me. I don't necessarily need to know it's this scale and this mode and this whatever.
Yeah.
I understand it might make it easier to put things together if I could become like a certain type of songwriter. But that's the beauty of music, that you don't have to be technically trained or schooled for 10 years to write a song.
Totally. I mean, that's what my producers do for me. They tell me what key it is. And honestly, my co-writer, she's like a mentor to me, Ali. She's musically trained and properly, so she knows everything.
Yeah, so you have your team already that can just help you out if you need to go that direction. And many times you don't even need to know. It's just like, well, here's my ideas and here's my lyrics and my melodies, and
Exactly.
you bring this other piece to the table and off we go.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, and I see always saying "Go Leafs, go!" Oh, so okay. Oh, you must be a hockey fan. Let's just put it up on that. He put "Go Leafs, go" for Toronto, the Maple Leafs.
I did?
No, Ove. He's in the chat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, when did I say that?
Yeah, no. So what happened?
I don't like watch hockey. I mean, I used to play hockey, but.
Yeah, when there's comments in the chat, I try to put them into the conversation so that the guest knows what's being said, because sometimes they're not looking at it and sometimes they don't want to look at it or whatever. So.
Oh, I didn't even see. I'm like, so I don't.
Yeah,
I don't see anything.
Ove is with us from in Norway.
Oh, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, he's been. Ove, actually, you could put this in the chat. What was the first? Do you remember what the first live stream was of mine that you watched? Because it's been several months that you've been supporting my channel, and I can't remember what the first one was. But if you stick that into the chat, then I'll jog my memory. And so, Sai, what kind of music influences do you have now? Because they may have changed over the years. I know that happens to me all the time. There's certain ones that will never change, but there's also been some newer ones.
I like to study music, so I go through periods where I just will like listen to specific artists and kind of like take in everything they've made. Like right now, I'm like really like the Smashing Pumpkins, and but in my influences are like Amy Winehouse, The Weeknd, and Erykah Badu. So many. Andre 3000. They're so random. I don't know. Everything inspires me. I love Johnny Cash. He's like one of my biggest influences ever. I mean, like, I know that doesn't make sense because it's like I don't make music like Johnny Cash, but like he's like, ever since I was little, I was just like really drawn to him as a musician and his story. He's just like so raw, and like I like when artists are raw, like Amy Winehouse. So.
No, I mean that makes a lot of sense with Johnny Cash being the deserved icon that he is. Talk about storytelling in songs. I mean,
yeah,
agree.
totally.
And it probably also kind of makes sense now that I think about that. You said that you were doing country for a little bit as a teenager, so some of that influence was probably coming through in what you were doing.
When I was, definitely. So, inspired me at one time. I actually want to kind of go back to diving into more guitar-based stuff, like with production. So, we'll see what happens.
Okay, cool. That makes for an interesting future musically. And oh shoot, I just had a brain fart.
That's okay. It happens.
Yeah, it happens to me a lot lately.
Me too.
But so we know that we have the 2 songs that are out now. We have the music video for Sick. You mentioned that you're working on another music video, but was that for a different project or for this project?
It's for this project. It's for track number 6 on the project. It's the last song. It's like a sad ballad, and the short film's just going to be a sad little ending to the story. And then I want to continue the story with a project after that. So and see where that goes.
Okay, and I actually remembered, which is amazing, that I remembered when I had that brain fart moment. What I was going to ask you was about performing. Do you like to perform? Have you done things live much over your career musically, or where are you on that spectrum?
I've done, I guess, quite a bit of shows. I've done like many showcases. I've done a showcase in LA. That was like my only international. Oh, no, that's not true. New York. I've done New York. But yeah, I like to perform a lot. I like to perform on big stages, to be honest, like really big stages. And I just like being free on a stage with a band. But I want to do more of that. And I hope that I can do that because it's what I love to do. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Okay. Yeah. And so when you've performed live in the past, or perhaps next year in the future, do you have like idea? I'm trying to figure out like how you would be presenting your music
Okay.
live. So do you have like dancers and everything, or are such an
So,
artist? What kind of things will we be seeing?
when I had like label support, I had a band and I had a keyboard player and a drummer, and it was just 3 of us. And that was like great because, more people on stage, more energy. And then I was doing some smaller shows, like opening for people in Toronto and like smaller venues. So I just had a DJ with me. I don't love it that way just because I prefer to have like the piano and the drums, and especially because there's a lot of guitar on this new project, that it would be nice to have a whole little setup, but that's something I want to work towards.
Okay, yeah, and I'm glad that you like hearing the instrumentation. So I imagine having a pianist or a bass or drummer on stage,
Yeah.
and that whole thing. And then again, as you were mentioning during the course of this interview, I could see you probably really, as your career takes off, having all these visual elements presented live. If it's a video screen of a film that you shot, or just whatever's on the stage, or the whole styling of it, it would be really uniquely you.
Yeah, it's that there's a lot of opportunity to have fun with that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I have my visuals that I use now, but it would be crazy, when things take off to see where my ideas land me. So all I can do is be excited about the future.
Awesome. And by chance, do you have any kind of a drawing or a painting background, or doodling, or anything that you do?
I used to draw when I was younger. That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah. I'm just kind of curious.
I used to draw and paint when I was younger. I was much better when I was younger at drawing and painting than I am now. I don't do it anymore. I did it when I was in school too, and I used to do it, and my dad would write stories over my paintings and drawings when I was younger. So I would draw like characters, and he would make stories, and then he'd make little books of them. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't do it anymore. Sometimes I scribble in my journal when I'm writing, but they're not very good.
Okay. Well, I only ask because, again, you have such a creative, artistic background that you're pulling from so many different things and as I mentioned earlier, I love artists like that because we, as fans, we just don't know what we're going to get. It's always going to be something new, something different, something added to it. Like, well, that's Saya. That's what she does.
Yeah, totally. I've been like, I've been doing a lot of like graphic design art recently. So that's kind of what I've been learning how to do recently. But I did draw a lot and paint a lot in 2015. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, because maybe you're going to have, again, you have a short film. You could have a graphic novel series. You could have a bunch of things. That there is no limit to where you take your art.
Yeah, totally. It's like it's really fun for me to do graphic design and do cover art and stuff. And even if I'm like collaborating with a graphic designer, like for the EP cover art and the vinyl packaging, I still get to throw in my 2 cents and, do what I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And Ove was asking, have you been listening to the last Smashing Pumpkins album that they put out?
I've been listening to, I never like look at names when I'm listening to things. One of my favorite songs that I discovered is Luna. It's this album, whatever this is.
Okay.
But I really like it. I like the slower stuff.
Mm.
Oh, one of my biggest inspirations also is Mazzy Star. She's like a folk singer. I love her.
Okay. Yeah. This again, this is really awesome that you could put out, like you said, something that's going to have maybe more guitars oriented in it, and then maybe you might flip around and I don't know, a country-based single comes out, or I mean, just anything from your background, whether it's kind of tickling your fancy at that point.
Totally. I like recently did like a Johnny Cash cover like on electric guitar, and a lot of people like reached out to me and were like, you should explore that. And I was like, that's cool. I mean, it wasn't like a full cover, it was just like a little clip, but my dad was like, you should cover some Elvis. And I was like, okay, we'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Ove, oh, I see. Thank you, Ove, that you put in that. It was Megan from Vexed. Okay, so, gosh, that was a while ago. Okay, I appreciate that, Ove. Well, Saya, what is the next thing that fans can look forward to that's coming out? So is it going to be this video for track 6? Is that the next thing on deck, or another song before that?
There's 2 more singles off the project. January and February are singles, and then the project will drop in March. And I'm hoping for 2 more videos.
Okay, awesome. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed talking with you, and
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, if you'd like to reconnect when when the EP drops next year, or anything else that you'd like to come on and talk about, I'd love to do follow-ups. I love connecting with artists again and again and again.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you for taking the time, and Ove and anyone else watching, thank you for watching today, and have a great weekend. And yes, I'm really excited about your career and everything that you have going on. So I definitely want to connect with you next year and see where we're at that point.
Thank you so much for the kind words and wishes. I do appreciate it. And thank you so much for everyone that joined today.
Awesome. Well, have a great weekend, Saya, and hopefully I'll see you sooner than later.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.